I, 44-year-old female, am married to my hubby Jimmy, 48-year-old male for over 2 decades. My parents died suddenly in a car accident 10 years ago. I have a younger sister, Abigail, 39-year-old female with Down syndrome, and Jimmy and I are guardians. Abigail is my sweet angel on earth. When my parents passed, I was a working mother of 3 young kids, helping to build our family business with my husband. At first, Abigail lived with us full-time. Jimmy has always been at my side with her care and loves her to bits. After a few months, we realized that my sister needed more attention than we could give her. There was just not enough time in the day. We discussed what would be best for her and decided to put her into a private adult home for special needs people. It's very costly, over $10,000 a month, and comes from our own finances. The facility does all sorts of activities and field trips. She loves her home, her friends, and the special days the facility hosts. We are always stopping by to either visit, sign her out on holidays to spend with family, keep her overnight for special sleepovers with my kids, and take her on every vacation with us. We never go more than 24 hours without one of us making sure she's okay. Now on to the issue. I have a sister-in-law, Jenny, 42-year-old female, who had her first child after years of trying. She's become the typical first-time mum who believes she invented motherhood and is openly opinionated about things she believes other parents fall short on. I mostly ignore her, and so does Jimmy. We hosted a BBQ at my house for Labor Day with my father-in-law, mother-in-law, Jenny, her husband, baby, and my kids. Abigail had a planned trip to the zoo and asked if she could go. Of course we said okay. While we were eating, Jenny turned to me and asked me where Abigail was. Her tone was more accusatory than questioning. I simply didn't want to get into it with Jenny, so I said Abigail wanted to stay at the home. Jenny then turned to her hubby and said, "See, this is why it won't ever happen." My mother-in-law asked Jenny what she was talking about. Jenny, all snarky, said to the whole table, "We did our wills last week and knew these two wouldn't be suitable as guardians of our baby if something happened to us." They tossed her sister into a home rather than be real family to her. I won't let that happen to my child. I didn't let it show, but I was extremely hurt she could say this. Instead of yelling, I laughed at her and said, "Well, that's great news since I have zero desire to raise your kid." More was said, but that's the gist of it. Jenny left with her family calling me nasty swear words as she walked out. I might have said a few swear words myself right back at her. It's been over a month now and Jimmy is still getting nasty texts from Jenny demanding I apologise. My mother-in-law knows she overstepped with her comment, but is asking me to be the bigger person and say sorry to keep the peace. I refuse. Am I the idiot now for a few comments before the update? Comment 1, not the idiot. I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're still a jerk. He officially apologised but didn't lie. His thought still to this day is if he has to lie, then you're getting a 2-part apology because lying is worse. Giving an apology without meaning it is a lie, just to make someone feel better. So he doesn't lie and apologises. One other time when he shoved a bully and I had to go to the principal's office. There were 2 other children besides mine, along with their respective parents. One was the bully, the other was the bully's victim. Then there was my son. The bully was continuously harassing the other boy we'll call Joe. My son told the bully to leave Joe alone. Mind you, my son was twice the bully's size in the 3rd grade. Bully said make me my son, pushed him with all his effort. 100 pounds kid shoving a 65 pounds kid means he went sliding the entire length of the cafeteria. So now we're all here listening. Joe is staring at his feet, Bully is crying, and my son just looks indignant. Bully's 9M male wants something to be done because her son was humiliated by my son. I asked, what about what your kid did to Joe? Her answer was, we aren't here to discuss that, but what my son did to hers. I looked at her and said we wouldn't even be here if her son would leave Joe alone. The principal then said, "Okay, let's be fair, if my son would apologise for pushing the bully, would that clear this up because no one is getting expelled or suspended?" Bully's mum with a smile and smirk said yes, if me son apologised it would be fine. Mind you, Joe and his mum are being ignored during the entire ordeal. Principal goes, "Okay, apologise for pushing the bully." My son looks out at the mum and says, "No, I'm not sorry and I'll do it again." Joe looked up. Bully mum PSI got so big. Joe's mum tried not to giggle. Principal says it's the right thing to do and apologise. Myon in his infinite wisdom asks, "Do you want me to lie or tell the truth?" He explains further, "If I tell a lie I get in trouble, so I tell the truth. The truth is I'm not sorry. Just apologise to make him feel better." My son smiles and says okay. He looks at Joe and says, "I'm sorry that the bully is a jerk and hurt your feelings. He won't bother you anymore, I promise." Look at the bully and says, "Do you understand?" Turns to me and said, "I apologised, can we leave?" The bully's mum looked like a goldfish. Joe's mum said, "This is concluded to my satisfaction and there will be no repeat performance, correct?" We all left the office and that kid never bothered Joe again. Moral of the story is it's all how you word the apology. My kid apologised, but not the way or to whom they expected. Comment 2. Not the idiot, you and your husband have been doing everything right, IMO. What the sister-in-law said was horrible, and all you did was agree with what she said. IMO, she should be the one apologising for her behaviour. If your sister is happy where she is and would rather go on the trip, then why not let her? She can clearly make her own decisions when it comes to where she wants to spend her time. People with Down syndrome are just as capable of making decisions as the rest of us. Sometimes people just need a little help, just like elderly folks. I hope the sister-in-law stops attacking you and your husband. That's just disgusting. Comment 3. Not the idiot, and Jenny is a major AH. If she had actual concerns, she should have talked to you or her brother. And if she had half a brain, she would see that sometimes living in a group home is better than with family who don't have the time or resources to properly care for or enrich the life of a person with special needs. Sounds like you are still involved in Abigail's life and she's happy. That is what's important. Also, if sister-in-law does feel this way, she doesn't need to make it known and do so in such a hurtful and insulting way. Now for the update. 2 weeks have passed and things have taken a turn I couldn't have predicted. You'd think after the barbecue the tension would simmer down, but instead it escalated in the most bizarre fashion. First off, Jenny decided to go full scorched earth. She's been spreading rumours about me to our extended family, saying that I'm using Abigail's disability benefits to pay for luxury items, a new car and a kitchen remodel to be specific. It's ridiculous. If I had that kind of money, I wouldn't be driving a 2002 Honda Civic. But Jenny's lies are convincing enough that we're now dealing with a social worker who's investigating our finances. Stressful doesn't even begin to cover it. Then comes the jaw-dropping part. Jenny, in her infinite wisdom, decided to prove her point about being a better guardian by taking Abigail out of her home for a weekend getaway without our permission. This, despite the fact that Jenny has no training or experience in caring for a special needs adult. It was a disaster. Abigail, who thrives on routine and familiar surroundings, was stressed out of her mind. She ended up having a meltdown at a roadside diner, which resulted in an ambulance being called because Jenny couldn't handle the situation. We had to drive 3 hours in the middle of the night to retrieve Abigail, who was shaken but luckily unharmed. We've since involved the police and the private home security team to ensure this doesn't happen again, but the emotional toll on us, and especially Abigail, is immense. The mother-in-law is now singing a different tune. She's left voicemails on our phones begging for forgiveness, saying she had no idea Jenny would do something this drastic. Jimmy, for his part, is livid. He's cut ties with his sister until she gets some serious therapy. It's been a wild ride, and all we wanted was to ensure Abigail gets the best care possible. Is that too much to ask? Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's clear that you're dealing with a lot of unwarranted drama. It's one thing for Jenny to spread rumours and create suspicion around your use of disability benefits, but it's an entirely different level of disrespect and disregard to take Abigail on a trip without your knowledge or consent. Not only did she overstep boundaries, but she also put Abigail in an overwhelming and distressing situation. It's important to recognise that those with special needs require a certain level of understanding, care and routine, something Jenny clearly lacked. It's good to hear that the police and security team are involved to prevent any such events in the future. Cutting ties seems like the best decision for now, as it gives everyone time to heal and process what happened. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Jenny's actions scream of an attempt to undermine your authority and create chaos within the family dynamic. The fact that she took Abigail on a trip without your permission shows a lack of respect for your role as Abigail's guardian and a total disregard for Abigail's comfort and well-being. On top of that, her spreading rumours about your financial situation is downright cruel and unjustified. It's clear that you have Abigail's best interest at heart and are doing your best to provide for her. The fact that your spouse has decided to cut ties with Jenny until she seeks therapy indicates that he too sees her actions as harmful and disruptive. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The fact that you're prioritising Abigail's well-being amidst all this is commendable. Jenny's actions seem to stem from a place of jealousy or resentment, but that in no way excuses her. Spreading rumours about you misusing disability benefits is a serious accusation which could have severe legal ramifications. Moreover, taking Abigail for a weekend getaway without your consent is not only a breach of trust, but a potential risk to Abigail's safety. The emotional toll this situation has taken on you and your family is evident, and it's clear that you're doing everything you can to ensure Abigail's safety and well-being. Cutting ties with Jenny until she seeks therapy is a wise decision. It's important that she understands the gravity of her actions and takes steps to make amends. Now, for the next story. I have 2 daughters. When they were younger, my wife and I realised that I spent more time with the boys and she spent more time with the girls, so we made father-daughter dates for me, and she does son-mum dates. They are all adults now, but we still do those dates, just less often. So my 2 daughters and I are going to a tea house. The youngest picked it and we'll just catch up. Now, my oldest son got married to Sue. She is a nice girl, and I see her at holidays and other events. I got a call from Sue asking about times for tea. I was confused and asked what she was talking about. She explained the daughter-father date and said she is my daughter-in-law. I told her this is just a thing between me and my daughters. She repeated that she is my daughter-in-law. This went on for a few times until I told her that she isn't my kid and that she is not invited. She hung up, and now I'm getting calls from my oldest, my son, her husband, for being a jerk and not welcoming her into the family. Update, I had a conversation with my son who mentioned it. I explained what happened and he told me that is what he heard from Sue after she calmed down. He called me a jerk since she was crying and he thought I flipped out on her. I also talked to Sue and she gave an apology and I apologized for being harsh. She heard about it from my son and thought it would be a nice way to get closer to my daughters. I explained the tradition and she told me she understood from the first call. She panicked since I told her no, so she kept repeating. She told me she was quite embarrassed and asked if she was still invited to the Halloween dinner coming up. She is. She wants a closer relationship with my daughters since she is the only girl in her family. I told her that is a conversation with them, and trying to force herself into traditions won't help that. I suggested she invite them out to a winery or something. Also, she did find this thread. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Sorry buddy, but you're the idiot. Hear me out. From your replies to comments, even a blind person could see how much you dislike your DIL. You vehemently dislike her, and your disdain just drips off every word. I'm sure she knows you don't like her. It's sad. I was the daughter-in-law that my in-laws didn't like, and I can empathise with what your DIL is feeling. Are you required to involve her in your little family traditions? No, not in the slightest, and you're not TA for not inviting her. You want this to be some special bonding time with your adult daughters because you were, and let's admit it, are probably an emotionally unavailable dad. You don't seem to be in contact with feeling like empathy, kindness, generosity, or basic decency, because otherwise you would have either offered an invitation to her, or you would have been kinder in how you put up your boundary. Putting up a boundary like not wanting her to come, because you just want your biological family, there is reasonable and understandable. Saying what you did and how you said it was unnecessarily cruel. I bet my 11th toe you were cruel on purpose, so she never has the audacity to think she's welcome in your family ever again, let alone in the first place. And buddy, who counts how many hours they've spent with in-laws or found family? Whatever TF that is, 75 hours. My God, man, I have cousins who I know I haven't spent that much time around, and I still love them dearly and treat them with kindness. It's not that hard. It's 2023. Get some empathy, get some therapy, and get over yourself. JFC, comment 2. You're the idiot for how you handled it. You referred to it as her demanding, but I don't see that in what you typed. You could have explained this is a tradition with just your daughters to keep in touch with them, and your wife does the same with the sons, like you explained it to us. Instead, you told her she isn't your kid. You've now laid the groundwork for your future relationship with your DIL. She isn't your kid, so she owes you absolutely nothing that most kids would do for a parents. A newsflash for you. The wives do most of the family relationship maintenance. Gifts at birthdays and holidays, favours, planning events. You should get nothing from this woman ever again. From the sounds of it, you probably can't expect much from your son either. Yes, you were right in that she doesn't need to be included, but you totally screwed the delivery. Comment 3. You obviously don't have to invite your DIL. I will say, however, that I had the greatest mother-in-law in the world, and one of the reasons is that she immediately included me and her other DIL in most of the girls' events that she did with her daughter, like lunches and shopping trips. Not every time they also had some mother-daughter events alone. Because she accepted me so completely in the family, even though she has now passed, my sister-in-law and I are still incredibly close, actually closer than I am to my bio-sister. Our children are as close as siblings, and the entire extended family gets along beautifully with no drama. Now, for the update. Well, what a wild few weeks it's been, folks. Recall my daughter-in-law, Sue, the one who wanted in on our father-daughter tea dates. Buckle up, because it's been a veritable soap opera over here. 2 days after we reconciled, my daughters received an unexpected invitation to a sister's spa day, courtesy of Sue. To my surprise, they agreed and off they went. And guess what? They returned with smiles plastered on their faces, reporting they had a fantastic time. They even said they learned a lot about Sue they hadn't known before. The ice, it seemed, was beginning to thaw. Fast forward to a week later. We were all at my place for Sunday dinner. The atmosphere was light and laughter-filled, a significant change from the tense silence that had been a regular guest at our previous family dinners. Sue was telling stories from her childhood, and my daughters were genuinely interested. Things were going well until my youngest daughter, a journalist, casually asked Sue about an old photo she had found during a quick Google search. It was a photo of Sue with a well-known billionaire business tycoon. Sue froze. Her face paled and went silent for an uncomfortably long moment. After the deafening silence, she finally admitted that she had been briefly married to the tycoon 10 years ago. We were all stunned and speechless. The reality that Sue had been married to a billionaire and never mentioned it was shocking, to say the least. In the ensuing conversation, Sue explained that it had been a spur-of-the-moment Vegas wedding that lasted all of 6 months. She had wanted to leave that part of her past behind and never brought it up. even when she started dating my son. The table was quiet for a while. Eventually, we all agreed that the past was the past and that none of us were without secrets or skeletons in our closets. I know this is a lot to take in, and trust me, we are still processing it. But my son loves Sue, and despite everything, my daughters have grown fond of her too. So, in the spirit of family, we decided to let bygones be bygones. The rest of the dinner was filled with laughter and more shocking revelations from our pasts. The evening ended on a lighter note with Sue jokingly saying, "Well, at least now you know I'm not after your son for his money." This entire situation has taught us that, in-laws or not, we all have our pasts, secrets, and different ways of dealing with things. Understanding patience and openness can certainly go a long way in bridging any gaps. So for now, the saga continues, and the father-daughter tea dates have been upgraded to father-daughter and daughter-in-law spa dates. Now for the comments. Comment 1, not the idiot. Sue, like any other person, has a right to her privacy and personal past. It's not necessary that she discloses every detail of her previous relationships to the family. The fact that she was married to a billionaire doesn't change who she is as a person. Your daughters got to know Sue on a personal level during the spa day, and that's what matters. The fact that everyone was able to move on and embrace their differences shows a level of maturity in your family. Upgrading the tea dates to include Sue is a lovely gesture of acceptance. Comment 2. Not the idiot, but it's important that Sue feels comfortable sharing her past with the family. The fact that she didn't mention her previous marriage to a billionaire shows that she might be hesitant about opening up. Maybe she had her reasons and it's okay. She shouldn't be judged based on her past relationships. It's great that you all decided to move on and forgive. This incident can be a good opportunity for everyone to understand the importance of open communication in the family. Comment 3. Not the idiot. However, it's necessary to consider Sue's feelings in this situation. She might have kept her past a secret out of fear of judgment or misunderstanding. It's crucial to create a safe space where she feels comfortable enough to share her past without fear of repercussions. The fact that your family was able to move beyond this revelation and choose acceptance over judgment shows great emotional intelligence. Including Sue in your tea dates is a perfect way to make her feel more welcomed and loved. This could also encourage her to be more open in the future. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.